Hello everyone, it's Sal, Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing fine. On this Saturday morning, guys, here's the weekend. The weekend is there to be enjoyed, isn't it, guys? I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you. Before I start, though, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, put all those notifications on, all that lovely jazz. You know the drill, don't you? You know the drill, guys. Thank you so much, you absolute legends. Don't forget, you are legends, guys. Every single one of us. Guys, look, you know what I would say? Obviously, there's lots of noise coming out of the press conference yesterday in regards to Ruben Amorim and the fact that he's been thrown into the Sharks. And you know what? He's not going to be backed in January, etc., etc. Now, look, I would take everything with a pinch of salt. And I've said this loads of times in regards to what managers say, what ownership says. Not everything is absolute. And a lot of these ownerships and managers, they are very, like, how would I say it? Very close-knit in regards to what they leak out and what they don't leak out. Now, I would like to think that Ruben Amorim is bluffing. I cannot believe for 1 minute that Ineos will not back Ruben Amorim. Now, if they don't back Ruben Amorim, and of course, look, I'm not a fly on the wall. I'm not someone who's sitting in the board of directors. Unfortunately, even though I should be, shouldn't I, guys? But what I would say is that it is imperative that Ruben Amorim is back this January. It's so important that he's back this January because at the end of the day, we are 2 points from fourth, right? 2 points from fourth, and we got an opportunity here. We got an opportunity for Man United to progress, an opportunity for Man United to get into that top four. We can't ignore that. Because this, at the end of the day, when you're looking at the top four and you're thinking about if Man United qualify for the Champions League, Man United will get 100 million windfall from the Champions League qualification. And then what that would do in turn, that will attract better players, won't it? And more players will want to come to Manchester United. And as I said many, many times, banging the drum about it, that Manchester United in Europe, Manchester United in the Champions League in particular, are a very, very attractive proposition for any player in Europe, guys. Loads of players want to come to Man United. Let me tell you that. There's not many players who don't want to come to Man United. Loads of players want to come to Man United purely for the fact that I want to bring Man United back to where they belong, which is at the top of the summit, Champions League, Premier League, that sort of thing at the end of the day, because that Man United are the Premier League, to be honest with you. They built the Premier League and pioneers of the Champions League, of course. Well, they're the English pioneers of the Champions League. Of course, guys, let's not forget that. So what I would say in regards to Manchester United is that if they don't spend in January, then I think it's very, very clear that we have to really take this Ineos to the cleaners, guys. I really do think that. And I think that that just clarifies for me and doubles down on the fact that they are not interested in doing anything for this football club. They're not interested in what happens on the football pitch. They're not interested in what manager comes in, whether Ruben Amorim gets sacked, whether a new manager comes in. They're not interested in backing that manager. And that is how I would clarify, put things in perspective. But what I would say is that I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. I hope they prove me wrong. And having said that, though, let's get into a bit of transfer news, guys. According to various reports, in particular, big shout out to Bild in Germany, Manchester United have made an initial approach for Said El-Mala. Now, of course, Said El-Mala, we spoke about loads of times on Stretford Post, of course, one of the best young players in Europe, up-and-coming players in Europe at the moment, an absolute superstar of a player, already a German international being called up to the German squad, currently playing for FC Cologne, of course, guys, absolutely. Valued at around 14 million, he'd probably go for about 55 million. He's a 19-year-old left winger, attacking midfield, centre midfielder. Manchester United have made initial approaches, apparently, according to German reports, in regards to Said El-Mala. Now, guys, what will happen in regards to Said El-Mala? 34.9 million is the valuation exactly. But $47 million. That would be about 40 million euros, guys. Absolutely. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at Said El-Mala. He will depart in the coming months. I can tell you that right now. Said El-Mala will leave Cologne this, whether it's now or whether it's in the summer, he will leave Cologne, of course. But who is he going to go to? That is the key thing here. That is the most important thing. Who is he going? Which club is he going to, guys? Manchester United reportedly increasing their efforts to sign Said El-Mala ahead of the summer transfer window. According to the German outlet Bild, United are interested in signing the 19-year-old and have already made contact with Cologne. And that is official report, guys, right there. Okay, so Manchester United in for Said Armala. Now, guys, look, I have no doubt that they will do business in the summer. I have no doubt that the summer window will sign some players. We're supposed to sign players. When Manchester United, we're supposed to do that. That's what we do. We sign players in the summer. But what about January? What about this month? We got the World Cup coming in summer. The World Cup is coming in the summer. It's going to be even difficult to sign more players because at the end of the day, when you think about the World Cup and you think about players and you think about timing and you're thinking about if they have a good World Cup, their price will saturate, will elevate, wouldn't it, at the end of the day? And it'd be more difficult to sign those players. So isn't it very, very important? And isn't it advisable? And isn't it a smart thing to do some work in January? Don't you think that? I think that. I mean, a smart person would think that at the end of the day, isn't it, guys? So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, look, you know what? These guys are an absolute, like, you know what? This is like, this. Look, listen, guys, this 3 weeks coming up, right, of this transfer window, it's almost like, for goodness sake, this is almost like the knife in the coffin. Is it the knife? Is that the final nail in the coffin? Not a knife in the coffin. It should be a knife in the coffin. Double check it. Yeah, absolutely. But it is a nail in the coffin if they don't do business in this window, guys. It's so important. It's imperative. All those big words, of course, guys. Absolutely, that they do work this window, of course. Now, guys, you may have seen me yesterday. Of course, you did see me. If you were here, you would have saw me. Of course, guys. Absolutely. I spoke about a player named Othmane Mama. Mamma mia. It is Othmane Mama. Absolutely. He's a Moroccan international, currently playing for Watford. Manchester United have made initial approaches for this player. He's only a 20-year-old, sorry. No, I'm putting 3 years on his age. He's only a 20-year-old, guys. He's valued at about 1.3 million, right winger, centre midfielder, attacking midfielder. Very, very talented individual. Very, very talented young player, of course. And this is obviously 1.3 million is going to attract Ineos, isn't it? Oh, wow, look at this player playing for Watford. Oh, he's only worth 1.3 million. We're going to go and get him. We're going to get him. Yeah, 1.3 million. Look, guys, Manchester United were at Vicarage Road on Thursday. Vicarage Road, of course, the home of Watford, guys, to watch the winger Othmane Mama, of course, guys. So, look, guys, I don't mind transfers like this. I don't mind. You know what, at the end of the day, but these type of transfers, what I would say, are they transfers for now or are they transfers for kicking it down the road later on? 2028, guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what I would say is that I always hope we young players always say, okay, if Man United bring in a young player, I'm hopeful it goes well. I'm really hopeful. And I wouldn't throw any young player under the bus, no matter who they're playing for. And the thing is, though, what I would say is that I would like to think that we've done our research about certain players, of course. And also, guys, just like I've been doing the African nations, and I will carry on doing the African nations, of course, in the next round. I'll be live tonight for the African nations. Just like I'm doing the African nations, I am bewildered at the fact that we are not, scouts reportedly are not at the African nations. I am absolutely, I don't know how to say it, guys, flabbergasted that we're not at the African nations, that we're not looking at players. We're not looking at players. I've seen players for South Africa. I've seen players for Zimbabwe. I've seen players for Angola. I've seen players that Man United can look at and think, oh, he looks tasty. You know what I mean? Not in that way, but in a footballing way. He looks good. At the end of the day, he looks a good player. He looks a good winger. He looks a good defender. I saw some defenders for South Africa. Look, wow. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And not only him, you know, Uganda as well. Teams, you know, and I would like to think, and this is exactly when I'm talking about, you know, Sinioko and players of that ilk. And I'm thinking, do you know the likes of the French clubs, the German clubs, you know, the Italian clubs, they do scout Africa efficient. Like, look, guys, let me tell you something, right? The African Nations is the biggest tournament in Africa, of course. And I have no idea, and it's one of the most viewed in the world. I have no idea why we are not over there really scouting, you know, okay, yeah, we went and got Sekou Kone and that, okay, young players there. But let's look at what we can get, who are the best players in Africa, and you know, the best players in Africa will be in the African nations more time than not, wouldn't they? And I would like Man United to go there, and I would like Man United to scout them more effectively and efficiently. I saw players for Tunisia. I'm doing Tunisia watch along as well tonight, guys. Mali tonight, massive game. So, guys, yeah, look, so I'm bewildered by that. I'm bewildered. Now, if there is an element of truth in regards to what Ruben Amorim is saying, if there is a truth in that, then you know as well as I do not want to hear or see any more Ineos bootlickers anywhere in my stream, anywhere, because if they do not back Ruben Amram this month. You know as well as I don't want to hear about, oh, you know what, you got to give it time, you got to have patience, you got to give it time. I don't want to hear about none of that nonsense. I don't want to hear it. Absolutely. I spoke about it before they came to the football club. This club needs immediate rebuild. This club needs $1 billion spent on it. On the pitch, guys, by the way. I don't care about facilities. I don't care about that, guys. I don't care about, you know what, a clapping light bulb. You know what I mean? I don't care about that, guys. I care about what happens on the bloody pitch. That's what I care about, Man United. And we are in a crucial period in our history, guys. We are in a crucial period in our history. We can either go up or we can go down, guys. Listen, I'm the most patient person there is. Let me tell you that right now. Look at me with Ruben Amram. Look at me with Ruben Amram. Have I ever screamed to the top of my lungs saying, get him out my club, he's a fraud, he's this, he's that? Have I ever? Have I ever? So why would I do that with anything else at a football club? When I call something, I call it because I've been pushed to the limit, guys. In the summer, we were promised a 8 or 9 out of 10 window. We got a 4 out of 10 window, guys. You know, and it added weight to the fact that we came 15th, guys, and we needed to improve that at the end of the day, guys. Absolutely. And guys, people who focus on Ruben Amram and only Ruben Amram and not mentioning, I mean, big content creators think that Ineos had a good summer last season, and that is, you know, I mean, I lose respect in opinions when people say that. Ridiculous, pathetic. Bootlickers at the end of the day. That's what it is. And I'm tired of seeing people call it. You can call the manager, no doubt. Look, guys, it's up to you. I'm not here to make your opinion for you. I'm here to give my opinion, and I'm here to listen to your opinion. But I'm not here, you know what? But what I would say is that people who just target the manager, and don't target anything else, I think are a big problem. I think are a massive problem. I think are a big problem, because at the end of the day, you're neglecting what has been going on around this football club. You're looking at the symptoms and you're not looking at the cause. You know what I mean? And that's what they're doing at the end of the day. I think Ineos had a great window. In what world do you live in? If we were late in Orient, okay. You know, I mean, these guys, I mean, at the end of the day, absolute pathetic, I would say, guys. Absolutely madness that anyone could think that we had a great window. I don't know where to look. I don't know where to put my face. Embarrassing. At the end of the day, absolutely, guys. Let me say big up to everyone in the community. First of all, let me say good morning to my legend, of course, my friend, Tybog. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. These comments on transfer in January from Amram are very much worrying. We've seen this before, and it was never a happy end. Ineos brought nothing new to us. Ineos have, you know what? Look, I would like to think he's bluffing. I would like to think that, because at the same time in Germany, I'm hearing Bild saying we're bidding for Saidomala. And I'm hearing this. Now, obviously, I don't take everything as a gospel. I don't take everything as 100%. We're going to do that because we've been here before, haven't we, Tybo? You know, and I would say that if they don't make business in January, it is an absolute disgrace. Disgrace. At least with the Glazers, right? At least with the Glazers, they actually spent some money. You know what I mean? At the end there, I know we didn't spend in January, but we spent a lot of money. Ineos, listen. If they couldn't afford the football club and they couldn't invest in the football club, then they shouldn't have put a partial ownership in the football club. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they should not. I mean, listen, guys, we got this soundbite of about 2028. Man United are going to do this in 2028. We got this soundbite, right? That we're going to win the league in 2028. Okay, so if you don't win the 2028 Premier League title, I want you to resign. I want you to resign. And because you made false promises, it's your fault you made those promises. If you cannot win the league in 2028, they need to go. They need to resign. It's as simple as that at the end of the day. They should do it now anyway, if they're not thinking about backing Ruben Amram this summer. Of course, guys, absolutely. Big up everyone, by the way. Big up Ellen. Good to see you back, Ellen. I hope you're doing well. Hope you sorted out your YouTube. Hope everything is blessed. Big up King Jam. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, my friend. Big up Sanjay. How you doing? Guys, good morning, Sanjay. Big up. Good morning, guys. Lots of snow here in Germania Magna. Big up, my friend. Big up. Are you still in Cologne, Tyberg? You can go and get Said Armala to Man United for us. Big up, Rajat. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up, Sam. What's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate, as well. Big up, Ephraim, the legend. Hope you're doing well, mate. Nikki, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you as well. Happy Saturday, guys. Happy Saturday. Hope you're all doing well. Spot on, Sal. They must back him in January. If they don't back him in January, guys, look, it's not like I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? I want Ineos to fail so they can get out of the football club. I want them to succeed. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. Help me believe in you. Me to believe in you, right? And that is what I would say about it. I want them to help me believe in them. Now, how do they help me to believe in them? I feel like Jerry Maguire, you know, like this. Spend some money. Spend some money. Spend some money in January. Distract the narrative. Move the narrative to one side and say, look, at the end of the day, I want to go at the end of this transfer window, right? I want to put my hands up and say, well, you know what? Fair play. That's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do in the summer. But in the summer, I did not do that. Why didn't I do that? I know some people got happy. Well, you know what? We signed Cunha and we signed Mbremo and Sesko and a goalkeeper. Wow, no shit, Sherlock. We're supposed to sign those players. When Man United, we spent Man United money. We didn't spend any of Ineos money. We didn't spend any of the Glazers' money. We spent Man United money. Of course, we're going to spend our money. You know, at the end of the day, spend some of their money. You know, what about that $4 billion that Jim Ratcliffe was going to spend on Chelsea? Why not put that towards something, eh? Why not do that? But they won't do that, will they? They won't do that, will they? You know what I mean? They're living off sound bites. They're living off the quarantine training facilities that were agreed with the Glazers because the Glazers couldn't afford it before the takeover process at the end of the day. So they need to get their finger out. And this January, they need to do some work, guys, because I am not having it, guys. Absolutely not. Big up, Amir. I hope you're doing well. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing good. Big up. Heaven was 1 million, so his value is not important as long as he's a good player. Value is not important. Exactly there, Yale. It's not important. And I'm not bothered about value for money because at the end of the day, a part of me feels that, you know what, I would much rather them be cheap than them be expensive and pressure put on them. But obviously, we need to analyze what the Championship is as opposed to what the Premier League is. Now, Aiden Heaven was playing for Arsenal and was a very, very talented young player at Arsenal. Arsenal didn't want to lose him, but obviously, when a player is a certain age, they're inclined to lose him, obviously, because of a compensation and they don't have a professional adult contract. So Man United purchased Heaven. Everyone knew Heaven was going to be a great player. However, what I would say is that when you're playing in the Championship and you've not been at any major club and you're not been scouted by any major club, it does represent a risk. I'd like to think that, you know, as we said with Hannibal Mabry and players of that ilk, right, that these players are good players. Like Hannibal Mabry, I've been watching Hannibal Mabry in the African nations, and Hannibal Mabry has been an absolutely brilliant player. But when he goes to Man United, it's different. It's a different kettle of fish, guys. However, I don't paint everyone with the same brush. You know what I mean? I'm a very flexible guy. Stretch Armstrong FC. Of course, I am a very flexible guy, and I will analyze every single player individually and not but based on what that player is and that player is and that player is. Now, if a player is 20 years old playing for Watford, there's obviously an element of talent there, right? There is obviously an element of talent, and I'll be honest with you. But the problem I'm having, right, is that I want players now. I don't want players in 2 years. I don't want players in 3 years. I want players now. I want players who can fit into Man United now. So at the end of the day, can Mama fit into Man United now? Can he be signed for 2.5 million and he be in Man United's first team? That's what I want at the end of the day. Big up, Sam. I don't believe United anymore about going for players until they prove me wrong. The United board is full of shit. No coach will succeed with the way to a club. And Sam, you speak my language, my guy. Absolutely spot on. Very, very, very well said. Now, I would always come on here because I have contacts at a football club and I have contacts in the media and obviously being in music for 20 years, I got to know agents and I got to know people like that because a lot of footballers used to go to my, parties and this and that and celebrity football matches and that. And I met a lot of agents. I met a lot of football agents. So I do get the news. I do get the gist of what Man United are after. However, in regards to Man United, for example, look, guys, I've been speaking about Carlos Baleba, right? I've been speaking about Carlos Baleba for the last week, I mentioned that Man United have made a firm offer. Was it this week or last week? I made a firm offer for Carlos Baleba. I made an offer for Carlos Baleba, an initial offer of 50 plus 55. Lo and behold, guys, this morning, check it on Twitter. This morning, they're talking about Baleba. They're talking about initial inquiries. You know what I mean? Now, I did say in that show, I did say in regards to, and guys, listen, how long ago was I talking about Ryan, the Brazilian player, Ryan, the striker? Look at social media. All the big outlets are talking about it now. How many times, guys? How many times do I have to say this, guys? You know, at the end of the day, proof it's in the bloody pudding. You know, and, I would get my flowers, but you know what? They could shove their flowers out their backside, to be honest with you. But what I would say is this, right? I would say that, yeah, look, Man United made initial offer for Baleba, but obviously it's down to Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton and Hove Albion, a difficult one. We've made agreement with Carlos Baleba. We've agreed everything with Carlos Baleba, his entourage himself, his personal details, everything, guys. We've agreed it. But obviously, Man United need to agree with the most important thing out of all of that, Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton and Hove Albion are not going to budge. Man United are going to offer about 50 to 55 million for Carlos Baleba. Brighton are not going to say yes. I said it already. Brighton are not going to say yes because Brighton are going to stay firm on their initial valuation, which is 65 million. They're going to stay on that. They're not going to go, all right, just take 55 then. Now, some may argue that this is bad on Carlos Baleba. This is stifling Carlos Baleba's prospect of going to Manchester United. But what I would say to Carlos Baleba, if I spoke to Carlos Baleba one-on-one, what I would say to Carlos Baleba, Carlos, put in a transfer request. Say, I've had enough. I refuse to play. Do it. I know it. I know, guys. I know it's bad. And I don't advocate that. But if I was Carlos Baleba, that's exactly what I would do. You know what I mean? Let me go to Man United. Now, obviously, we are in this position because we got Ineos and the Glazers. Now, if we had Qatar, if we had a full sale, right, if we had no depth, and guys, listen, if Qatar were in the football club, let me just tell you something, this is what would have happened, right? Qatar would have cleared the debt. Qatar would have paid off all the transfer fees that were owed, all the debts that were owed, right? No one would be unemployed, right? They would clear off all the debts that we owed, all the everything. And man, guess what will happen to Man United's FFP and PSR? Up there. And you know why that will happen? We're not Newcastle United, guys. We make revenue. We make money organically. We make a lot of money, guys. I go to Italy. I'm here in the UAE right now. I see Man United shirts everywhere. I can't believe I'm in Napoli. It's a random place in Italy, right? They've got a great football club called Napoli, right? You may have heard of them. Right? They've got a random club called Napoli. And I'm seeing Man United fans in Italy, Italians. That is what we're talking about, Man United. I'm not seeing Newcastle. I could go to the brink of England and back. I wouldn't see a Newcastle jersey. And there's no disrespect to Newcastle. Fantastic club. Fantastic club. Big club in Newcastle. That's Man United, if they were bought by full sale, whether it was Qatar, whether it was Amazon, whether it was Apple, Qatar were the ones who were going for it, guys. And I know 100% they were going for it. Sheikh Jassim Hamid exists, doesn't he? Because he's been at the World Club Championship and everything. Man United will be in a far, far greater place right now. Now, this is one thing I would say about it. If you sleep with the enemy, make sure that you got ammunition, guys. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you sleep with the enemy, you better come up trumps because this is what they've done. This is what they've done. They slept with the Glazers. And it's up to them now to do to show us and prove us wrong, that they are very interested in this football club and very interested in what happens on the pitch. I don't care what they did last summer. You know what I mean? I know what you did last summer, as the film says, guys, absolutely. And to be honest with you, it was murderous. And to be honest with you, it was a poor window, 4 out of 10, guys. And anyone who says that, a bootlicking Ineos, it was a poor window at the end of the day. And to be honest with you, look, if they come out this window in January, which I don't think they will, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're going to blow the bloody doors off Michael Caine. I don't think they're going to do that. Because at the end of the day, why didn't they do that in the summer anyway? Because it's the same FFP, it's the same fiscal year. It's the same year, right? That ends in July. So why, at the end of the day, why didn't they do it in the summer? And this is exactly what makes me think when I'm thinking about transfers and I think about Man United and I'm thinking about, you know what? Well, yeah, we want that player, but why didn't we do that then? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. Absolutely. Big up, Nikki. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Amram had a face like thunder during that. Can you imagine, Nikki, right? You leave Sporting Lisbon. You're sought after manager. Loads of clubs around the world want you. They want you. Loads of clubs around the world want you, right? Man United going for you. Big club, okay? Right? And he said to the board, he said, look, I don't want to go in January. I want to go in the summer and blah, blah, blah. And then you go in January, right? You leave and everything like that. And you were given false promises, false dawns and stuff like that in regards to the transfer and what we're going to do, these broken promises. And then everything that happens in between, what has happened at Man United, you clear out a lot of the rubble, you fix a lot of the mess. I know on the pitch it hasn't been good enough, but at the end of the day, you know what? It's going to take time for Ruben Amorim, you know what I mean? But the one thing that you did and you were promised in the summer, you didn't get. And then again, you make promises in the summer, and don't forget, I don't think I've forgotten, they made promises in the summer about January. We're going to do this in January. We'll revisit this one in January. We do that in January. And here we are in January, and nothing is materializing. At the end of the day, how would you feel as a Manchester United manager when you've got Mbeumo, when you've got Ahmad, when you've got Mazraoui out, added to all the injuries that Man United have got, and you're not getting a transfer? How do you feel that Manchester City, with their stacked squad, bolstering squad, overinflated squad, are going out and buying Semenyo? How does that make you feel as a Manchester United manager? Wouldn't you be furious? What are you going to do for me this summer? Oh, sorry, but you know what? We could have gone out of business in December. Yeah, of course, all that old chestnut, isn't it? They're liars, manipulators, and they always have been that. And I spoke to Nice fans before they came into the football club, and I spoke to Ineos, people related to Ineos and fans of racing and cycling and stuff like that. People who are fans of it and stuff, and they told me everything I need to know about them. Absolutely. Nikki, Terry was doing United Stand for Mark yesterday, calling for Amran to be sacked. Now I give an unlike and turned off. Nikki, look, I like Terry. Terry's a homie. Terry's from Leighton like me. He's went to the same school as me. We had the same teacher, Mr. Haggart. Ask him. But I don't agree with Terry there. I don't agree that, look, I understand that wanting the manager out, wanting the manager out is understand, okay, you want the manager out, that's fine. That is his opinion, right? But one thing I don't want to say that, I don't want people coming out and saying, they've done more for the Glazers than anything else, which Terry said on his channel, when I done a 58th minute walkout and bloody sacrificed myself in with the whole fan base, guys, at the end of the day, and created a movement. Successful or not, I've done more than what they've done. Physically. Right? At the end of the day, what I would say about that is that, if you come out and say, listen, the Glazers need to go, some of these players need to go, Ineos need to go, then I would hold my hands up and say, at least he's being balanced with it. At least he's being fair. He's calling out everyone. Because at the end of the day, my opinion does not mean more than everyone else's opinion. At the end of the day, I'm just here to give the news, and I'm here to give my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm an oracle of football, right? But what I would say is this. At the end of the day, of course, results matter, but context also matters dearly. When you're looking at Ruben Amorim having 7 young players on that pitch against, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and you're looking at Tyler Fletcher, Jack Fletcher, Shea Lacey, Mantato, and then you're looking at, obviously, Aidan Heaven in the team as well. You've got Dorgu, who's a young lad as well. Sesko's only 23 as well. Doesn't matter how much he costs. These are all very, very young players in the team, and we're dealing with one of the youngest teams in the Premier League. And that's what we're talking about, right? If you're looking at our bench and you're looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers bench and you're looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers team, how is it that a team with 2 points in Wolverhampton Wanderers, some of those players at Wolverhampton Wanderers would walk into our football team? So what does that mean? That means that Ruben Amorim's doing better than he should be doing with that squad, right? And right now with that squad. Now, maybe, just maybe, if he was backed in the summer properly, at 8 or 9 out of 10 window, we would have beaten Bournemouth. It's the fine margins, isn't it? We would have beaten Fulham. We would have beaten West Ham. We may even beaten Everton. Who knows, guys? Who knows? We probably would have beaten Wolves, right? Now, maybe if we had replacements for Mbeumo, Ahmad, and Mazraoui, Man United will be way up that league right now. I'm talking about 3rd place, 2nd place, guys. And when you're looking at things right, Man United have 2 points from 4th. So you're looking at that and you're thinking, well, if Man United converted those draws and those losses to wins or draws, Man United would be way up that league right now. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we lost to Arsenal, let me give you an example. The first game of the season, we played relatively well against Arsenal. We lost the game because of a goalkeeping error in Ballender. Maybe if they signed Seny Lamens a few weeks earlier, we would have had Seny Lamens in goal and we probably would have drawn that game, right? That's 1 point. 1 point is 1 point. And you know what? If the league is ended, at the end of the season, which it does, of course, and we were 1 point behind the Champions League positions, there you go, guys. That is the fine margins in football, right? At the end of the day. And look, listen, the thing about Stretford Post and this great community that I have, absolute legends, right? The great thing about this channel is that we will analyze things in every single angle. Calling for the manager to be sacked and calling for him to walk or calling for him to resign is a dumbed down, low IQ view of football. Because at the end of the day, not looking at a context, thinking, oh, well, you need to win that anyway. And at the end of the day, what I would say, as much as I respect these guys, as much as I like these guys, it doesn't mean I agree with them. I could sit with them in a bar and talk about football all day long about it. And I would debate it professionally. If they want me on their channel, I would debate it with them. And at the end, I've been on Terry's channel a number of times, and I would like to pose him the question and ask him the question. I believe that at the end of the day, if Ruben Amorim walks, if Ruben Amorim resigns, who is going to come in? Right? Are you going to get Areola? Are you going to get Glasner? Are you going to get Thomas Frank? Because all those three managers right there are not doing as good as Ruben Amorim right now. You know, right? So what are you going to do? Are you going to get those three players? The only option in Europe for me is Conte. That's the only option for me. It's Conte. I don't have anyone else in Europe that I look at and I think, yeah, he's going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy. I look at Spalletti, maybe I look at him, and I look at Conte. So I look at Conte and I think, okay, Conte comes into football clubs. He went to Tottenham, failed, by the way. But I look at Conte and I think, yeah, maybe he can ruffle a few feathers. But he's not a miracle worker. He's not a miracle worker. And as I've said many, many times about the Serie A is not the level. It's not the level. And you just need a decent side to compete in Serie A. Believe it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Thank you so much, Ephraim. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. To buy players with potential is good business. But the situation we are in right now, we need players that are even better than what we have already in the club to get us to the top. Absolutely, Sam. Absolutely. We need players now to make a difference now, to help Man United now, to help Ruben Amorim now. That's what we need right now. We don't need, project players. We don't need that. Look what's happening at Chelsea. With all those project players that they got, the Gittins, the Garnachos, the Delaps. Look what's happening at Chelsea. What's going on with Chelsea at the end of the day, guys? Look, you need to think about the here and now. Do you think Alex Ferguson went out there and purchased young players because they couldn't fit, because he wanted to play them in 5 years' time? Alex Ferguson rarely did that. He got young players in the team, but they went straight into the reserve. We rarely heard about them, right? But ultimately, the most important thing that Alex Ferguson did was buy players that are ready here and now. For now, we want Rooney. He's young, yeah, but he's ready now, isn't it? He's a young player, but he's ready now. Rooney's ready now. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Van Persie's ready now. Jaap Stam's ready now. Vidic is ready now. Everyone he purchased was ready now. Not to go on the bench and kick it down the road. He's going to be good in 5 years, hopefully. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and that's what I would say about it. United Mandem. What's going on, Mandem? How you doing, my friend? How are you doing now? We need players now under Ineos. We have been bad, yet they still work on mediocrity. I agree with United Mandem here, 100%, mate. And I don't want to hear, if they do not buy any players this January, I do not want to hear any bootlickers of Ineos in my streams or anything like that, and the Glazers. Because the Glazers and Ineos are intertwined into one big fat entity, right, of negativity. That's what they are at the end of the day. They're like a big bacterial ball. You know that COVID ball, right? That with all the little spikes hanging out of it. That's what they're like. That's what Ineos and the Glazers are like over this football club, hanging over Old Trafford like that. I don't want to hear anybody talking, praising, licking backside, whatever it is about Ineos. I don't want to be here. If they do not back Ruben Amorim this January, it's clarified, signed, sealed, delivered. Stevie Wonder even can see it, guys. They are not good for this football club and they need to leave. And I'll say that right now, because at the end of the day, they brought in Ruben Amorim, by the way, right? They brought in Ruben Amorim. And as I said, at the beginning of his tenure, I said, well, if they're going to bring in Ruben Amorim, I'm not a fan of the back three, but if they're going to bring in Ruben Amorim, and you can scroll back because I said this, guys, and people say, no, back three works. I said, I'm not a fan of the back three, but he's a fantastic manager. He works with the back three. That's what he does. He's a good manager. He's an up-and-coming manager. But if they bring in this manager, I want to see this manager given the tools, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, to do his job. I'm interested to see what Ineos do with Ruben Amorim, because Ruben Amorim has a distinctive style of play, a different style of play, and it needs the players from back to front, left wing back, right wing back, back three, midfield, strikers, everything, goalkeeper needs to be aligned with what Ruben Amorim's philosophy is. And we have not got that so far, I don't mind Ineos, all right, if they came out there and they said, okay, look, we're going to back him to the end and back, and they backed him and they spent 500 million on him and said, okay, there we go. People forget about the most important point here, what I'm trying to say. We lost Antony, we lost Rashford, we lost Rasmus, we lost Varane. 4 players, guys. 4 deemed first-team players last season and the season before. Now, as much as what people think about these players, whether they value them, whether they rate them or not, we don't have these players right now, right? So that squad is weak. We brought in 4. We got rid of 4. Okay, all right, okay. So that's one thing. But we did not bring in 4 players like in regards to above what they're supposed to bring. So if you bring in 4, we already had a thin squad. We've replaced 4 with 4. That's what we've done. You know, and they haven't gone out there and gone, wow, Man United have signed 10 players, got rid of 8 players and stuff like that. And you know, they haven't done that. And that is what is the most telling fact, of course. Big up Sal, big up FM Sal. They have money to spend from Semenyo if they do not have anything. Let me just tell you something, guys. When people were talking about Eric Ten Hag, before Eric Ten Hag was sacked, right? Before Eric Ten Hag was sacked, people were saying they do not have the money to sack Ten Hag. Lo and behold, they find money out of somewhere, don't they? That's what these billionaires do. I've told many people loads of times that Ineos are liars. They lied. Jim Ratcliffe has lied about being a Man United fan, guys. He's lied about being a Man United fan, for goodness sake. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, how's he not going to lie about spending money? He's going to lie. He's going to manipulate. He's going to pretend he's broke. Of course he does. That's what billionaires do. I can't understand how people can't wake up to that. Do you know what I mean? Billionaires lie. That's what they do. It's their duty. That's how they become billionaires. They lie. We needed someone who came into the football club who treats money like bloody salt or you know what I mean, nothing, like normal pieces of paper. That's what we need. We need an ownership like that. You know what I mean? And we like a guitar who don't worship money. Jim Ratcliffe worships money. He probably has a shrine in his house, worship with the money everywhere. He worships money. The Middle East, they don't worship money, right? They don't. They spend money. If it needs to be spent, they spend it. That's what they do at the end of the day. And that's what Man United needed, guys. Absolutely. They needed that. Absolutely. Big up, Darren. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Darren. Hope you're well. Big up, Albie. How you doing? Hi, mate. I can't see us getting any more decent in January. I feel like we will end up 10th by the end of the season. You know, the only reason we won't, if we don't sign anyone in January, Albie, the only reason we won't come 10th is because of Ruben Amorim. Let me tell you that right now. The only reason we won't come 10th is because of Ruben Amorim. The squad is not good enough. Tybo, the funny thing is it wouldn't be such a bad thing if to repair United, but it needs will, competence and funds. Not sure we have too much from any of those exactly. Big up LT, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up Sal. Amorim saying we are not going to spend it, Janet is bad unless Ineos are trying to keep it sound. Exactly that we're getting someone trying to avoid the noise. If they don't buy it, it's a fight. Yeah, look, guys, we have to look at this and we have to analyze this and we have to be smart here. We have to be mature, right? I hope that it is a bluff because what I'm hearing players we're linked to. I'm hearing players that could possibly come to Man United. I hope that they're bluffing. I hope that Ruben Amorim is bluffing. And I hope that Man United are going to go out there and are going to sign some players. And they are trying to keep it on the low, are trying to keep it hush. I hope so at the end of the day. Because if they're not, then you know what? The swords will be out. You know, the swords will be out. I just feel like some people have forgotten about the Ineos effect. They've forgotten about Glazers and they don't mention them much. It's all about Ruben Amorim. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And every single thing that comes in Ruben Amorim is a negative, you know? As I said, it's a balanced thing. It's a multitude. It's a multi-layered problem, you know? Sam, if they don't back Amorim in January, that means they want Amorim to fail. You know, if they don't back Ruben Amorim in January, they don't want him to fail. Let me just tell you that right now. They want him to work on a budget. And what does that mean? That means they will want every other manager that comes into this football club to work on a budget. Greatness also built on budgets. We're Manchester United. We're in the pits. We're in the mud. We should be challenged for the league. We're worried about getting into top 4 for crying out loud. You know, we need something to happen. We need someone to come out and say, like, we're going to slap $1 billion on this football club on the pitch. I don't care about a new toilet facilities. I don't care about none of that. I really don't. Great Man United side played on bloody rubble. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've seen that video of the great George Best and Sir Bobby Charlton in that little basketball court playing football. That is what we used to have at the end of the day. Greatness on the football pitch will equate to money, right? Because you'll win trophies, you'll get money. Qualifying for the Champions League will equate to money. That can, in long term, be reinvested into the club. Did Alex Ferguson come into Old Trafford, right? In 1986, I think, you know what? We got stands on the south stand. We got the north stand. It's awful. You know, we need to rebuild that. Did you think he concentrated on that first? No, he didn't. The only time Man United concentrated on Old Trafford was in 1992, 93, when they rebuilt the Stretford end. You know? And that was it. And then they started to build. Because if you make money organically, you can reinvest that money into the team, into the club, into the infrastructure. But ultimately, your bread and butter, what's the most important thing is investing in the football team on the pitch. That's what you need to do. First and foremost, make sure your football team is aligned with your vision. Otherwise, your vision won't work. You'll be like Tottenham Hotspur in a fantastic stadium, finishing 10th. Who cares? You know, I could give you hundreds of football clubs. Freiburg would know them. In Germany, they've got fantastic stadiums, but they're not good as football clubs. You know, the most important thing is that what happens on the football team, with the football team on the pitch, and we go from there. Absolutely. I won't be surprised if they don't. So I won't be surprised, Kenny, but I will be surprised in that, you know, how bad it actually is. Because you're looking at things right now and you're thinking, yeah, he needs to be backed in January. This is not just a soundbite. He needs to be backed in January, guys. If they don't back him in January, it absolutely is damning. It's damning. If they don't want Ruben Amorim, sack him then and back the new manager, right? But I don't think it's about sacking the manager. I don't think it's about what manager manages Manchester United. I think it's about they don't want to spend money. They want to get something on a budget. Now, guys, when Jim Ratcliffe says this, let me tell you, it's a bit like when Jim Ratcliffe said, we're going to be broke by Christmas. This subconsciously puts in your head that we got no money. For the people without no low IQ, by the way, that's what I would say. Those with a low IQ would believe that, oh my God, we're going to be broke in December. It's a soundbite. It's something that will subconsciously get in your head. Now, when Jim Ratcliffe says this Manchester United team is good enough for the Champions League, subconsciously, a few of the minions, right, will get in their head, including the Mandem minions, by the way. I should copyright that. So, including the Mandem minions, they were thinking in their head, we are good enough to get in the top four. Man United are nowhere near as good enough. Aston Villa's team's better than ours. Man for man, look at Aston Villa's team. It's better than ours. How can Aston Villa's team be better than ours? Newcastle team is better than ours. Arsenal team, of course, is better than ours. Man City is better than ours. Chelsea is better than ours. For us to be 2 points from the fourth place, a bloody flipping miracle with that bunch of crap that we got on the football pitch. We got players who've been playing for Man United since not 19, but God, I mean, that would be nice anyway. They probably could still do a job now. Since 2013, 14 season, you know? Not spending in January would be such a typical American arrogance and ignorance. Exactly. Their whole country functions like this, and they brought this system to United 20 years ago. Any American, and no offense to American, my grandma's American, guys. She's from Newport News, Virginia. Okay? Let me tell you something about Americans, right? They do not understand football. They should not be hosting the World Cup. The World Cup should remain in footballing countries. They do not care about football. They call it soccer. Anyone who calls football soccer, don't talk to me about football. As soon as the word soccer comes out your mouth, I lose interest in your footballing opinion. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of young American fans who think that, you know what, a lot of them are against Ruben Amorim. They think that football works on this sort of American model. I don't know. But, you know, what I would say is that American owners don't like to spend. And as much as people don't want Arab ownership, they won't want sugar daddies. We didn't make the rules, guys. Chelsea and Man City and now Newcastle have made the rules, and PSG have made the rules in regards to ownership. You need it. You either swing or swim. You sink or swim. That's what you do. At the end of the day, if you want to be successful, you have to go by what is working now. Unfortunately, you cannot go into a sword fight with a breadstick. Guys, if I walked into a jeweler's, right, and I had Sheikh Jassim Hamid next to me, and then there was the Jim Ratcliffe there, okay, or Avram Glazer, whatever it was, and they walked into a jeweler's, and Sheikh Jassim Hamid said, I want that diamond ring, right? I wanted that diamond ring for my wife. And then Avram and Jim said, I want diamond ring. I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. Them two, right? As a couple. No offense. And basically they said, so the ownership of the jeweler said, all right, who wants it? Sheikh Jassim said, okay, I'm going to pay 5 million for that diamond ring. Avram Glazer and the Jim Ratcliffe said, we'll pay you 500,000 now, and then we'll pay you 500,000 next year, and then we'll pay you another 500,000 the year after. But ultimately, it would be about 7 million. You'll get 2 million extra. Do you think that the owners of that jewelers is going to be with Jim Ratcliffe and Avram Glazer, or they're going to be with Sheikh Jassim Hamid? They're going to take the 5 million straight away, right? That's what they're going to do. And this is exactly what we're talking about. You either blow it out of the water, which is exactly what Man United needed. We don't need, we're not a bank. We're not bloody finance company, a payday loan company. At the end of the day, Man United need billions spent on it. That football team needs $1 billion spent on it. We don't need projects. We don't need false dawns. We don't need, broken promises and you know what? Kick it down the road, FC. We don't need that. We need action. That's what we need right now. Absolutely. Ephraim. So how they say we back the manager when they do not back him in transfers, Ineos and Taylor? I mean, this is what I'm talking about subconsciously. And obviously, I work a lot with subconscious things and stuff like that. I do know about psychology. I do know what billionaires do. I worked in the music for 20 years. I've met billionaires, for crying out loud. Look, what I would say this, guys, in regards to what they do, they would say that, you know what, we're backing the manager. If you carry on saying, I'm backing the manager, we back the manager. We bought him this, we bought him that, we backed him. Some people subconsciously will get in their head, he's been backed. Yeah, he's been backed. Some people will stay awake, like me, and say, he hasn't been backed. Explain this, explain that. I would like to get Jim Ratcliffe into a room and say, all right, you've been backed. You purchased Cunha, Embremo, Sesko, and Lamens. Fair play. All right, but we lost Anthony, Rashford, potentially, Rasmus, and Varane. Okay? All right. It's level here, right? Varane's a fantastic defender, obviously injury prone and that. But Man United came 15th. You know, you want Man United to succeed, right? So how do you succeed when you take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back? How do you succeed like that? Can you just explain to me how that works? Because at the end of the day, if you bring a Ruben Amorim, right, who plays wing backs, but you didn't buy any wing backs. You bought Dorgu under Eric Ten Hag. I'm sure Ruben Amorim wouldn't want Dorgu. As much as Dorgu's done well, I'm pretty certain that Dorgu wouldn't have been Amorim's first choice. You know, what Amorim needed was a Nuno Mendes, that type of player, a Van der Sar, that type of player. That's what Amorim needed for this system. You know? Why didn't you buy many wing backs? Why didn't you get a new midfield? You know, because at the end of the day, when I'm analysing Manchester United over the 40 years I've been supporting Man United, the overriding similarity between all the great Man United sides is that we had an excellent midfield. We had an excellent engine and a centre-back partnership. You know, the spine of the team was solid. You could fit your Luke Chadwicks, right? You can have all these players here and there, Louis Saha and Luke Chadwick, and they're around the team, but the spine of the team was solid. We don't have a spine of the team, guys. Slug FC, Snail FC, for goodness sake. You know, I felt for Amorim, he looks down. Of course you would do. Nicky, there's nothing more demoralizing. Amorim has an ego. Most managers do. Most great managers do. They have egos, right? Most of them do, right? I cannot fathom how he thinks, where he's thinking that it's impossible for me to succeed. Now, let me give you an example, guys. If you had, for example, Peter Crouch, right? And you said, right, I need a player like Ronaldinho. Peter, can you be my Ronaldinho? Can you dribble past 6 or 7 players and bend it in the top corner, right? Can you do that for me? Because I need that for my system to work. I need that for my team. And Peter Crouch says, that's not what I am. I'm not that sort of player. I can't do that. I can try, but I'm not the sort of that player. This is what's going on at Man United at the moment. Luke, you're defying the rules of gravity at the moment. You're defying the rules of logic and science. You're staying fit. Unbelievable. You're staying fit at the moment. But can you run for 60 games a season for me? Can you play that left-sided centre-back like a perfect left-sided centre, like a proper left-sided? Because Luke Shaw's not a left-sided centre-back. You know? And can you be my Roberto Carlos? You know, it's not going to happen, isn't it? Dorgu, you know, can you be my Carfu? Dalot, can you... Look, let me give you an example. Can Dalot be our Carfu? Dalot, can you be Carfu for me? It's not going to work, isn't it? If you're not invested in the players you want, guys, I would understand if every single one of those players were his players, but they're not. They're not. There's no midfield. There's no wing backs. There's no... Look, at the end of the day, guys, I know you could say, well, you know what? Villa are doing better. Villa have got a settled lineup. They play a settled way. They are what they are. They're not going to win anything. They may qualify for the Champions League and Europe, but they're not going to win anything. Man United need to win things. Man United need to challenge for Premier League titles, not flirt with challenging. That's what Man United need to do. That's the aim. Man United need to qualify for Champions League and challenge for the Champions League. Not just qualify, challenge. That's Manchester United. That's the difference, right? We do not have the players for any of that. We have a couple here and there that might work, but we do not have the players for any of that. Man United used to have 4 world-class strikers. We have 1 decent striker, and it's up in the air with him. And as much as I like him, we have 1 decent striker, you know? It's disgraceful. City are also trying to get Guenya from Crystal Palace. Look, City will make business this January, Yale. City will make business this January. City will back their man again. You can call Pep Guardiola a checkbox manager. He is. But they give him the backing, though, don't they? Ruben Amorim will win the league with Man City. Ruben Amorim will win the league with that Liverpool side last season. Ruben Amorim will win the league with Man City. I don't think there's any problem with that. I don't think so. I think he will win the league with Man City. Right? But again, we are a graveyard, not only for players, for managers as well. Because who we're owned by, we don't back our managers. Not to the level that needs to be backed. Man City spent how much last January? How much did they spend last January? A year ago? How much did they spend with getting Cherky and all these players? You know what I mean? And they got Manouche. Let's not forget that. And then they're still buying players now, even though they bought players in January, they bought players in the summer, and they're buying players now. They do not miss. They do not miss. So I cannot sit here, right, and be serious about my football club competing with Manchester City when Manchester City, fair play to them, they bend the rules. They're frauds. They're cheaters. I don't care. They win. Since when has winning become like, you know what, you have to be a goody-goody two-shoes? Since when does winning become, you know what, but at least we haven't bent the 115. Who gives a damn about 115? Who gives a damn about what rules they've bent? Who cares? They're winning. Every winner bends rules. And I'm tired of it now. They bent the rules, they got away with it. Fair play to you, you got away with it. That's it at the end of the day. We're like, oh, you know what? Oh, the pennies got they got a line. The pennies have got a line. We got to line the pennies. We got to make sure the FFP and PSR are nice and straight. That's what we got to do. No, the FFP and PSR. I congratulate Man City because at the end of the day, they bend rules and they get away with it. For goodness sake, we're My Little Pony FC. That's what we are. We should have a bloody picture of the Care Bears. We should have a statue of bloody, you know what I mean, a Pee Wee Herman outside the bloody football club. Because at the end of the day, we're just such a soft bloody football team. We just don't want to bend any rules. You don't think Man United bent rules under Sir Alex? Of course we did. Winners do. You have to. And one person who know all about that is Jim Ratcliffe. Because to become a billionaire, you need to bend a few rules, don't you? He knows he's not going to bend any rules because that is not about rule bending. It's not about rule bending. It's about saving money. You don't care about the FFP and PSR. It's about saving money. Sal, Frankfurt had a bad spell lately, but they reacted and bought 3 players. So in a couple of days, there you go. That's a bloody Frankfurt that they can't even be compared to United. Just shows exactly, Tybo. Exactly that. Absolutely. Fair play. You know, and that's exactly what it is, what I'm talking about. There's small clubs out there. Sunderland had a better window than us in the summer. Sunderland, right? Sunderland have got no expectations, but they had a better window than us last summer. Doesn't matter what players they brought in. I predicted Sunderland were a great season. Look at my tweet. People say, no, Sunderland are not going to have a good season. You're absolutely bonkers. I say Sunderland are going to have a fantastic season. They spent well. They did well. They brought in players that are experienced. They brought in Granit Xhaka. And I say Granit Xhaka would be one of their players, one of the Premier League players of the season. And surprise signings. And lo and behold, he is one of the surprise signings of the season, isn't it? Granit Xhaka is better than our midfield. You know, and that's what I'm talking about here. Do you know what I mean? Let's look at this in context. Let's forget about Manchester United FC or PLC, whatever you want with the Glazers. Let's forget about that, right? Look at Man United's team and be logical and compare it. And compare it with other teams, right? And look at every single position. Yes, we've got quality players. Some quality players. In Bremo, Cunha, maybe Sesko, Ahmad. You know, we got De Ligt. They're good players. But look at the rest. It takes one bad egg, by the way. Look at the rest. There are teams in the Premier League, in the top 10, that have better overall team than us. You know? When you think about Tottenham Hotspur, for example, and Tottenham Hotspur are crap, and you look at them man for man, you can't seriously say that their team is not as good as ours. It's better. Balance-wise and everything. You know, you can't logically say that their team is not as good as ours. I can go through the league. I looked at Aston Villa's team the other day, and I'm doing a watch-along for Aston Villa today, guys, not in the Forest. I looked at Aston Villa's team. I think, wow, they've got some good players there. Like, they've got Rodgers, they've got Tillmans, of course, they've got Ollie Watkins. You know, they've got, you know, you look at the defense, they've got Konza. You know, you look at, they got bloody Digne, who played for Barcelona on the bench. and I'm looking at Aston Villa and I'm thinking, they're not bad, you know. No, you look at their team and you think, yeah, they're not bad. They've got a better team than us. Overall, they've got a better team than us. Now, for Ruben Amorim to come out and dominate the game against Aston Villa, it's testament to Ruben Amorim. I know we lost, but it's testament to Ruben Amorim at the end of the day. That's what I would say about that. But people don't want to look at these small little details and things like that. They want to look at the bubble brain thing that, you know, what people just say, Ruben Amorim out, get him out, resign now, resign now, resign now, resign now. Guys, listen. I just feel like the only people who should be resigning from this football club right now are Ineos and the Glazers. And that is it for me. And that is it. If they do not back him this January, that is the only thing I want to see is Ruben Amorim, not Ruben Amorim, Ineos and the Glazers leave this football club. Ruben Amorim will look after itself. He will leave if he doesn't get results. He's going to be gone either way. But the bigger picture we need to look at is what Ineos are doing, is what the Glazers are doing. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say about that, guys. Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank everyone again. Really appreciate you all. Don't forget to join me for the watch-along between Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa later on today. I will also be doing the African nations, guys. So don't forget to join me for that. Should be fun. And guys, again, thank you again for your support, endless support over the year. And I want to say, bring on 2026. Let's have a good year, guys. Let's grow together, and let's hopefully we get some success because we deserve it. At the end of the day, guys, we do. Thanking everyone who joined me. Let me just read through some of your comments again, guys. UK Darren, it was bad enough with the Glazers. Now we just got Ineos and Ratcliffe with 115 FC spent 200 million last January. We need 2 players at least, minimum, my friend. Sam. Amorim looked so down during a conference interview yesterday. I feel sorry for him. Amorim might be regret. I think if you put all the cards on the table, if Amorim had a chance to turn back the time, I think he would stay at. Sporting. Sal, I'm sick of the ownership. It's the same bullshit over and over. We are just going to be treading water until the club is sold. They actually putting me off football. It's a nightmare. Join the club, my friend. Join the club, of course, guys. Let me just say, big up, Victor. How you doing, my friend, Victor Samko? How you doing? I would always say this. The obsession with and insistence to keep Bruno last summer is what completely failed the Manchester United rebuild. I can't understand the short-sightedness of the team. I agree with that. I did say that we need to think bigger picture. Of course, big up, Victor. Good comment. All Terry goes on about is Arsenal. Seems to care about... He supports Arsenal, mate. I mean, I like Terry, but I know he supports Arsenal for a fact. Trust me. He will be a top centre-back. LT, Ineos failed us. They brought in their guy and did the cutting all jobs, all that to be financial viable, but failed to back their manager. And they have January to back him, but still want to fail him. Yeah, and that is going to go with every manager, by the way. Tybo, no point changing the manager as long as the owners don't change. Amorim is not perfect, of course, but people tend to forget these 20 years of misery under the Glazers. Spot on, Tybo, guys. Big up, my friend. Chelsea is a mess. They are completely finished as a club. Big mistake sacking Maresca. They'll spend more, though. They'll keep spending. Yale, Chelsea spent 1 to 1.5 billion on players, getting 80 to 120 players over a few years, and this is what they are going to protest. Exactly. Listen, you just buy some Man United fans a pint, they'll be fine. Will you take Hugo Katiki type of player? I would take anyone at the moment. You know what I mean? I'll take Carl Aminiki of the old Nigerian player right now. You know what I mean? Ineos bootlickers, absolutely. Morning, Scott. Big up yourself. Go and get Consi Kiao, good player. Nikki, one thing that has crossed my mind is that Amram say no further transfer talks because he knew the fans will be unhappy. So owners have to fans, please. Amram, I want Amram to be. Look, guys, what would be great? What I would love is Amram to resign and walk into the distance as a hero. I would say that if Amram resigned and called out the owners, I think he'll be forever known as a legend at Man United. I really do. I think he should, guys. United Mandem, there are a lot of Ineos bootlickers, and it was so worrying me to see exactly. And some of them got big platforms. We are slowly losing our identity as a big club because people tend to accept mediocrity. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Third in the league for most goals scored, but we have a permanent issue with defence. I think once Licha, Delict, and Managerial will be a lot better. I expect those areas to be filled. Next, considering we just filled our attack, Heaven is an example. The most important thing, though, is the midfield, mate. That's the engine that protects protects the defence at the moment. We got a makeshift midfield. That of course is the biggest issue at Man United. Big up Timothy, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. What's your take on Leeds Sunday? Spoke about it in the match preview. Man United will win 2-1. I hope so, my friend. Big up Timothy. I hope you're doing well. Big up everyone in the community. Daryl, good morning. Hope you're doing well. He will foul without the backing. I agree with that. I've said it hundreds of times, Daryl, that you know what are we expecting from the greatest of all time? The greatest of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo said you're expecting miracles from Ruben Amorim. He has no affiliation with Ruben Amorim, by the way. Monisal, they said they're backing him. If not, they won't be getting top 4. We will struggle rest of the season. I hope we get some signings. I hear Ineos are giving him 3 years to prove himself, but no backing. It's no point. You might as well give him 1 year. You might as well sack him now. Every single manager is going to come in and every single manager is going to foul, guys. And that's one thing I will say. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything, guys. Hestley, I think that Ruben Amorim should leave and resign and call out the owners. That's what he should do. That he would be known as a hero, a legend. Absolutely. We are not ready for the Champions League. Top 4 is a bridge too far. 6th place is fair. I mean, I'll be happy, Katie. I wouldn't be happy, but I think if he got top 4, that is an achievement with this team. Santosh, big up. Sal, I 100% agree with you. Glazers are Ineos and are responsible for the mess. Amateur to prove that. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely 100%. Guys, I want to thank everyone again for joining me. Big up Garrett, by the way, brother. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, everyone who's joined me today, guys. Really appreciate you. I will be back later on for the watch-alongs. Don't forget. And don't forget to put your notifications on when I do go live as well, guys. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. You absolute legends. Thank you so much. Have a great day, great evening, great night, wherever you are in the world. Don't forget to catch me on the AFCON as well, guys, later on. Take it easy. I'll see you soon. And guys, onwards and upwards. There's only one way to think, isn't it? And we need to have we need to have expectations, and we need to put it on Ineos. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Sal Warner. This is Breaking Dawn. Take it easy, guys. Peace.